Good afternoon, class. I wanted to take a couple minutes to talk to you about your major assignment coming up and also cover a bit about strengths-based leadership that you've been learning in class, okay? And this text, the reason why I chose it is because it discusses leadership from the strengths-based concept. And of course, that's central to our program and it's central to ethical and effective social work practice. Um, uh, I think it really fits into who we are as social workers and who we need to be as leaders and the things that we need to consider in order to become effective leaders. Okay, so when we talk about strengths, first we have to discover our strengths, and the book provides several different assessments. You can go take a Briggs-Meyer or look it up online. There's all kinds of little free Briggs-Myers tests you can pick, but that will help you understand your personality type, while other assessments, especially in this book, like the Strengths Finder and other questionnaires, will help you identify and discover your own strengths. So I really encourage you to do that, but also utilize that self-reflection, that we keep preaching about, because you're an expert in you, and you can ascertain what your strengths are, and also utilize your colleagues and those people who you interact with daily and ask them as well. But when we talk about your strengths, we also have to understand that we need to develop our strengths, and that it's a multifaceted process. First you have to acknowledge your strengths and be prepared to reveal them to others, because it lets others know how we can be most useful in working together. Uh, People use a variety of ways to reveal their strengths, such as posting them on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, or adding them to their email signatures, or listing them on a resume. I don't know if I would go that far, but you should be comfortable from a standpoint of discussing your strengths when they come up. If a project um, presents itself, don't be afraid to say, I'm really good at the math. I'm really good at the math. So usually whenever we have any type of major project going on as a department, I always volunteer to do the assessment. So your utilize your strengths in a manner in which you can continuously develop them. We also need to recognize that not all people express their strengths in the same manner, so of course we have to be culturally aware. And working consistently with others and we have to also work consistently with others based on our strengths, okay? So if you're a good innovator, then find ways to be creative in your leadership, okay? Recognize and address the weaknesses which can detract from your leadership, and that's really important. We've all had that leader that presents themselves as perfect, and we all know they're not. And in my mind, it really takes away from the credibility of that leader whenever they fail to acknowledge that maybe an area isn't their strength. So it's not only understanding what our strengths are, but what they're not as well. Okay? Now, I think one of the most integral things that we do as leaders is recognizing those strengths as others and presenting them opportunities to build on their strengths as well. We need to, as leaders, recognize and engage the strengths of those people who we're responsible for. Leaders need to determine that followers are good at doing and help them do it. So we need to determine what the followers are good at doing and help them do that. Often the strengths of followers are not evident to leaders or even to the followers themselves. Through completing projects or assignments, a person can be surprised to learn that they have a strength in a certain area or activity. So again, it's important to utilize your strengths and to develop your strengths, but also step outside of that box every now and then and work in the uncomfortable. We also need to foster a strengths-based environment as leaders. Um, uh, One way of doing that is to create and promote a positive work environment in which people's strengths play an integral role. Organizations who create positive work environments have positive physiological impacts on its employees, and also it impacts their employment. You know, you can Google, which you probably already are familiar with, but Google the Hawthorne effect. I mean, even just paying attention to an employee does a lot. So actually investing and understanding their strengths and helping them implement those into the workplace is just going to strengthen that person's productivity. It's going to strengthen you as a leader, and it's going to bode well for both parties. To build positive relationships, we as leaders need to highlight individuals' positive images and strengths. We need to develop positive communications in order to be supportive. So, not communications, but we need to develop positive communication in order to be supportive, and make more positive than negative statements, okay? And um, also, we can foster positive meaning in our organizations by emphasizing the connection between the employees' values and the long-term impact of their work. And when we talk about values, my mind can't help but go to the NASW Code of Ethics, which encompasses several values that fit in quite well with what we're learning now. So as we're going through this, also think about the ethical implications. This text and this course um, explores leadership across a broad spectrum. So it's your job as a social work student to kind of pull in that social work content with additional resources, utilize the resources, of course, that I've posted in the course, but also, you know, venture out and understand how this connects to social work. You know, we want to be strengths-based social work leaders, all right? And the text has done a good job of identifying certain leaders and their styles, and that will help you with your next assignment, okay, or your midterm assignment coming up. The popular leader assignment. Popular leader may be a misnomer. It could be an unpopular leader. But basically, all I'm asking is that you choose a popular leader, either current or historical, and discuss that leader's traits, strengths, philosophy, and style. Okay, each of these areas are discussed in the text, and I want you to utilize those resources in order to discuss that leader. Okay. Students will also discuss an outstanding accomplishment or failure of the leader and provide a hypothesis on what traits contributed to that outcome. I think that's fun. Um, so really look at those traits that are associated with that leader and attribute that to one of the milestones in their leadership, okay? Your papers should be approximately 3 or 4 pages in length, APA style, no abstract or cover pages necessary, and include those citations and references that support your assertions. Have fun with this assignment. You know, I suggest that you separate it into um, the leader's traits, strengths, philosophy, and style, and then also talk about their accomplishment. And I think you can do that in 2 major parts, but I would include those subheadings as well. So you don't have to do that, but it may be helpful. Like for one, you could say your major heading one would be um, leader from course concept, and then talk about the traits um, with a subheader, the strengths, the philosophy, each of those with a subheader. And then secondarily, for your second major header, you could do um, um, the accomplishments or the accomplishment or milestone of the leader. Whatever works for you. You as long as you utilize at least those 2 major headings, I'm cool with that. because I'm really more interested in how you utilize the information that you've learned through the text and through the course videos and reading, and also apply those to additional resources that you pull out of the class. Again, this only has to be 3 or 4 pages in length, and I really want you to enjoy the process. And if you have any questions, please use the open discussion page. And I appreciate your time today. I hope you're enjoying the class.